take the name of the journal and you run with it. It is one of the tools in your toolbox. Yeah. So the journal finder. I don't know what is happening. I still have the presentation here. Okay. So there are several. So biosemantics, Enago open access journal finder. So you use those links. So those are 3 automatic journal finders. But you can also ask ChatGPT. I can open here. I can based on your title. Yeah. But be careful with ChatGPT because sometimes they make up things. Yeah. If my field is say ChatGPT, sometimes hallucinates. Yeah. Just gives you things which don't exist, but you get it from ChatGPT. So be careful. That's why I'm saying you need to have a knowledge. So does it make sense? Yeah. Is it true? Through the processes of creating a manuscript. You have your beautiful title there, you have your abstract. You can use these tools to get an automatic recommendation of the journals that you can use. That is one. But you also need to have a general knowledge of how journals work. Yeah? How many journals, what kind of journals are out there? For us to go there, I felt like we need to first of all understand how this scholarly publishing has evolved over the years. Yeah? Because remember, these journals that we are talking about, especially the one in the West, they've been there for many years, yeah? For centuries. The first journal was created in 1400 years. And some of these journals still exist. So this industry has evolved over the years. And I want you to appreciate the way the industry has evolved. So here in the beginning, I want to call this print journals. Yeah? These are journals that have been there for many years. They started as print before internet. Yeah? Before computers. These journals were there. Yeah? They were operating in print format. So, and then during that time, there was high production costs, high distribution costs. If you ask your grandfather if he was a professor, atakwambia gonna draft your paper on hard copy, anaenda naiweka kwa post office, inaenda kwa editor of the journal, and then the communication will still come that way until that paper is accepted, and then it is published. Once it is published, it's a print journal. Yeah? Again, it will be put on the post office, ikuje to that particular institution. And that is how libraries also used to buy these journals. Yeah? You subscribe to journals, yeah? And then they will be sent to you in hard copies. So that was the print era. So some journals refuse to change. They still operate in the print paradigm. Maybe now you can send on email, but at the end of the day, the journal will still publish in print. Yeah. Of course, some of them have evolved and they're doing maybe hybrid. Yeah. So when the internet became common and computers came, then some journals became electronic. Yeah? They moved to the electronic space. So we have this, what we call electronic journals. Yeah? Where you have wider distribution and accessibility, faster publication speed, because you can compare this and the person who is sending it on the mail. Yeah? It takes a lot of time. So it enhances searchability and navigation, because now it's not a paper, it's not a paper-based document, it is a database that you're interacting with, and you are able to move forward. So some journals which were in print format actually converted themselves to electronic. And new journals were also born at this particular level, because now publishing became easy. So some journals actually were born electronic. They're just electronic. They didn't have any back issues which were in print format. So when the internet became so common, and then we got what is called social media, then a new era in this scholarly publishing world, a new era also evolved. And this era is what we call the open access. Yeah? Because now publishing is very easy. Yeah? We academicians realize it is very easy to publish journals, and you don't need a big investment. Yeah? Because now the internet facilitates the process. You don't need to print, you don't need to incur shipping costs. Yeah? So you can actually create journals. So when the open access era came in, then many people jumped into this publishing space, including institutions, professional bodies. Now say we can actually host these journals because it's not too costly to begin one. So they started that. So this was fueled by rise of the internet technology, need for more accessible scholarly communication, and also circumventing the rising cost of subscription. Because remember, these guys were still selling these journals to libraries and researchers, and it became expensive. So the open access movement came as an alternative to high subscription costs, because we were paying a lot to buy these electronic journals and these databases. So when the open access movement came in, a lot of things happened here. And this is where we need to be careful, because now the players increased, everybody jumped into this boat of open access, including players who are not credible, yeah? Including players who just wanted to make money. And this is where now we have the problem of the so-called predatory publishing. So the predatory journals came when we had this aspect of open access, because now it was easy to create these journals. Okay, but we will have that discussion as we go along. But let's see the way it is evolving, because the evolution is still ongoing. So we are still with open access as a movement is still there, but also some other things are coming up. Like right now we are talking about open science. Yeah, it's not just open access, but we are talking about the open access, open science, where we are saying, can we be more transparent in the way we do research? Yeah? Can we avail our data also? Yeah? If I publish an article and I said I interviewed women in Danze, yeah, and I have my results that are presented in my publication, the people who are reviewing this article are telling me, can we see your data? The ones you collected in Danze, yeah? Can we see it? Because we want to verify, yeah? We want to be convinced that this research was done well. So that one calls for what we call open science, transparency in research. And it is very common now in the field of medicine and health, yeah? The call for open science is very common. So as long as we've gone through the manuscript submission process, and not submission process, as long as we've gone through the process of formatting our manuscripts to the required format of the journal, when you're submitting, don't be surprised when somebody is also telling you, can you be more transparent? Can I see your data? Because I want to verify. So the whole idea of open data, open methodology, open review, transparency, reproducibility of this research and validation of research projects is very important. So it's a component that is coming up. And once you interact with the publishing world, you will not miss this. Yeah? Somebody somewhere will ask you for your own data. Yeah? So, our young generation. Okay, I will submit a project. Yeah? If you sit somewhere under a tree and you fill that questionnaire, somebody will ask you for that particular questionnaire. Somebody will want to see that actual questionnaire. Let's say you are taking on your own handwriting. What is going to happen? You'll be in trouble, see? So the whole issue of transparency and openness is not to punish researchers or to make them do a lot of work. It is a safeguard to the people who are going to consume whatever we produced. Yeah? We need to be able to, we need to be accountable. The whole issue of accountability. If we're prescribing a particular procedure for treating a certain disease and it is backed with credible scientific findings, somebody needs to be able to confirm the findings. So the whole idea of open data and open science comes in. And now you see the world is moving very fast. So even before we were able to conceptualize open access very well, open science. So we are still trying to understand what open science is all about. Now there is AI. Yeah? So that evolution continues. So AI is now a different ball game altogether. Yeah? Is using AI to streamline. So there is a positive aspect of AI where AI is now helping these journal managers to streamline their publishing processes, manuscript screening, peer review assistance, AI enhanced manuscript preparation tools, etc. All those are there. But you know, only positive thing as negative. But now they are also battling with you guys who are using AI to generate the papers. Okay? And these papers are fake. Yes? Nobody has done any research. It is just AI generated. Very dangerous, especially in this field of health where we are dealing with human life. Yeah? So make sure whatever is done is really what it is and don't make up things. So I wanted you to appreciate this landscape. And there are many things to learn from there. But my concentration will be on this area of open access, between this open access and this. Because as you choose journals, you need to be able to tell this is an open access journal. You need to be able to the predatory. So you need to be able to say this is open access, but it is predatory, I need to avoid it. Yeah? This is open access, but it is a good journal. I can submit my So in the next slide, that is what I want us to look at. Yeah? So I just want us to just have a quick, I think the computer takes a bit of time to load. So to me, these are two main categories of journals. Yeah? Subscription-based, open access. Why open access? We've not looked at why open access, but we'll see later. So the subscription-based journals, these are the journals that have been there for many years. Yeah? For you to be able to read the articles in that journal, the library has to subscribe to them. Yeah? They are closed access. They are closed access. And that is where now the issue of subscription comes in. Yeah? For an institution to be able to access high quality research, you cannot just rely on open access alone, because open access is still evolving. Yeah? Remember, these journals have been in operation since the day you need to buy, where libraries need to subscribe and get a where ukienda online una search, you find a padlock. So you've seen those padlocks, yeah? And they tell you, swipe, put your credit card number to be able to open that. You've seen that. Yeah? So how that industry operates. There's still a good quality research, a lot of it, the subscription model. And that's why libraries just rely on what is openly available. The open available access movement is catching up, but it has not been able to free everything that is within the subscription. So that's why libraries still need to subscribe. That's why we need to, Madam President, allocate a budget for the library to be able to subscribe to these resources. And there's a very easy way of doing it. You don't need to do it alone. Yeah? Libraries have come together in this consortium, we call it CRIF. So we get all the libraries in Kenya into one platform, this consortium, called the Kenya Libraries and Information Services Consortium, and then we go and bargain for these resources as a country. We get them, all of us together. So once we know the price, then that price is distributed to institutions based on your population. Yeah? So obviously you will not pay as much as University of Nairobi is paying because we have close to 800 students there. So you pay according to your use and your population. There's a formula that is normally used to distribute. So that is still important because for us to produce good research, we also need to read good research. Yeah? And some of the good research is still under the subscription. As much as we are promoting open access, yeah? I'm not undermining open access. I'm an advocate of open access myself. But I know some research is still under the subscription bill. I don't know why this thing is not moving. I was waiting for it to move. So what do I do here? Somebody get some money and then it hit. Okay, so you find that the main difference between these two journals, or these two, I would call them business model of journals. The open access ones, they are saying it is free to read. Yeah? Reading is free. But you know there's a cost element of producing these publications, so somebody has to pay. Yeah? So under the open access, the content is free for the readers. But the people who are publishing pay for it. Yeah? Either, remember I said there's many stakeholders in this publishing space, yeah? And we are the key, we are the authors, we are the researchers. So either we pay out of pocket, yeah? So I pay for my paper to be published so that the readers can read for free. So if I'm not paying from the pocket, then institutions they can create a fund, yeah? Where if your researchers have to pay to publish, then they don't pay out of the pocket, they make an application to the management, and management gives them money so that they can be able to pay to journals, and their work is being published. Yeah? Or thank you. Or in other places, if you got funding to do that particular research, funders can actually pay for it. So somebody has to pay for it. So the open access one, the articles are made open access through the internet, and then the business model that they follow is you pay to publish and read for free. That is under the open access one. And then some plenty fees is charged either to the authors, to the institutions, or to their funding agencies. So somebody has to pay because there is a cost of hosting these journals. These journals are online, they need databases, they need servers, they need network, yeah, they need to be on the cloud, etc. So that cost has to be covered by somebody else. But we want to say, let our readers read it for free. You know? So under the open access journal, the control of the content remains with the author, and that is the beauty of it. You control the content as the author or as the institution. So kama niko na my social media pages naweza nirusha huko, yeah? Niende viral, I control the content, yeah? But now, if you are publishing in subscription-based journals, yeah? You surrender the copyright to the publisher. The paper that you publish in subscription-based journals, don't dare post it full text in your Facebook page. You will land on a lawsuit. What I pursue. Because you are not the one controlling the content, you surrender the copyright to them. And then access to the article is closed behind paywalls, passwords, license, subscription fees. So that's why the library has to subscribe, because some of them are expensive, yeah? So that's where the library comes in, they subscribe on behalf of the institution, and then everybody in that institution has access, because now you've already paid for it, so it has been open. Otherwise, every time you go to those sites, you find those padlocks everywhere. The only content you can access is open access. So good research is trapped under the subscription. So here, you publish for free. If that beautiful manuscript of yours is ready for submission and you don't want to pay for it, yeah, you can send it to this kind of journals where you publish for free. But remember, free is not free, yeah? You will also lose control of that particular article, meaning that you don't have the copyright. You surrender copyright. Yeah? You surrender copyright. For you to distribute, you need to ask for permission, etc. So somehow it is controlled. And then it relies on restricting access to published research in order to remove the cost of publication. So when you are looking at where to publish, you need to make that decision. Open access, subscription based. And then you need to know the journals that are in the open access space and the journals that are in the subscription based space. So the moment somebody is asking you to pay for your paper to be published, you know very well that you are in the open access space. Because otherwise, if it is not open access, then you don't pay. But the beauty of this open access movement, it has several models. If you don't have money to pay to publish, and you happen to publish in subscription-based model, it's not like all is lost. You still have options that you can use to make that paper accessible. There are other measures that you can take. So I want us to look at some of the models. Okay, so before I go to open access, let's finish the subscription. So the subscribed journals, these are all the journals that you see that are accessible to the library. If the library had given you passwords to access certain databases, most likely there are different publishers in that space: Cambridge, University Press, Emerald, so many in that space. So majority are actually indexed in these high quality journals like Scopus, Web of Science, because these are the journals that have been there for many years. So most of them are actually, you can't doubt the quality. And you will not find predatory in that space. Yeah? But your predators came because now me become an author, I quickly pay them and they collect their money. But in the subscription based, the worst that they can do is to charge you very high. But you know they are selling the final product. They will sell after they've published. So they must make sure that whatever they're publishing is high quality for it to fetch good price. So there's no predatory in that space. But some of them are hybrid, that means they mix open access models here and there. And then the paper will be closed. But you can practice what we call self-archiving. Yeah? There's a way you can free that publication so that it becomes accessible. So let's look at the open access. Why are we wasting a lot of time to do this? Because I want you to understand the journal landscape. Yeah. So that as you are submitting your articles, you know exactly the kind of journal you're dealing with. Because if you are just blank, you just know there are journals out there, it is easy for you to land on bad ones. Because you don't know what is out there. So the open access, it is coming in as a movement. So it's a publishing model that aims to make academic research freely accessible to all. So the idea is to remove those padlocks that you see on the internet, the paywalls, the subscription fees, the passwords that are required. They are removing all of them. So the movement, that is the purpose at the end of the day, to ensure that scholarly work is freely accessible. Anybody should be able to read. It's a beautiful concept. Before trustworthy players came into play, it was a very innocent, beautiful movement which is aligned to human rights and all that, universal health care and all that. So it is grounded in the belief that knowledge should be public good, which should be made available regardless of the financial means or institutional affiliation of the readers. Because truth be told, the subscription-based journals are expensive. So not everybody is able to afford. And even if we are affording, it is difficult to afford the top-rated ones. So Akina Harvard and Oxford are reading, they are top-notch. They are expensive. So as much as we want to get to where they are, you need the financial source. So that's why the open access says, let's have this thing available for everyone, so that we level the playing field. So that everybody is able to operate. Because health is health. Everybody needs good health system. We should not be constrained in our healthcare system just because we are lacking some information. Information should be freely available. That is what the open access movement talks about. So it leads to democratization of knowledge and information, fostering greater equity in education and research, etc. So it has all those benefits. And then at the researcher level, it also has benefits because remember, you have control of the paper, you did not surrender copyright. So greater visibility and accessibility of the work of the researcher, increased citation and societal impact. You can make your publication go viral if it is in the open access movement, because now you have control. Nobody will ask you, hey, why are you posting that paper? Because you have control. Then it increases the exposure, more collaboration opportunities and funding prospects. And then compliance with funding mandates, because these funding bodies nowadays are also pushing for this open access. So the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, if they give you funding, they will tell you, if you happen to publish, make sure you publish in open access. And they are ready to pay for it because the information becomes a public good, everybody is able to access. So, open access models. So this is where now you need to be able to understand. So open access is not all the same. It is on different levels, or what we call different models. So when you interact with a journal, when you are submitting an article to a journal, try to understand, okay, so this journal is open access, but it falls on which model of open access? Is it a gold open access journal? So the gold open access journals, we have them at the top there. This one, they charge you to publish. So you pay to publish. And then it's free to read. So these are like purely gold open access journals. So there are some very good, trusted open access, gold open access players. So in the field of medicine, you have all that. Biomed Central, I'm sure you can relate to some of those, Public Library of Science, the close, they have several medical journals. These are trusted, they've been tried and they've been tested. Hinawi publishers, they are the gold open access. But in that full open access, that is where also the predatory publishers operate from. They operate on the same space. So as you are there, you need to be able to sieve out which is good and which one is predatory. So I think I will have a slide on how to differentiate for the procedure that you can follow through to identify predatory. But they will charge you to publish. If you're publishing with them, you pay 10,000 sometimes, 20,000, but sometimes even 100,000, depending on the data. So that is gold. And then we also have what we call diamond open access. Yeah. These diamond open access journals, they are also open access. But these are journals that we say they are sponsored by institutions. And this is where now the open access movement is trying to put more emphasis on the diamond here. Yeah? Because these are journals, they are still within the open access space, but they are free to publish. They are not charging anybody to publish. And they are also free to read because it is open access. So reading is also free. And so why are they able to make it free like that? Because institutions are sponsoring these journals. Yeah? So within the open access space, if you identify journals that are diamond, then you are safe. It will be open access, you will not pay for them, but you will know that they are sponsored by institutions and quality is controlled. So, and this is where now institutions are even encouraged to begin their own journals, yeah? Which they can actually control quality, which they can actually sponsor them, because we've already invested in IT. So, we already have this server system, etc. Installing a general management system will not be too much for an institution, yeah? Because the infrastructure is already there. So like my university has one. We have a journal that we are calling the Multidisciplinary Journal of Technical University of Mombasa. It's MJ2. Yeah. And several other institutions have done the same. So if you can identify, especially for the upcoming researchers, the early careers, yeah? The beginners, yeah? My friend, if you submit your paper right now to the American Journal of Clinical Medicine, I'm telling you, you're competing with professors from Harvard. So it is very high. Yeah? You will get there, but not now. Pole pole. So unaanzia huku chini ukipanda, si ndio? So unaanzia wapi? Hapa hivi. Kwa jana. Si ndio? Unaanzia wapi? Another journal posted by KMTC. I think at the end of the day, I will give you a list of some of these diamond journals from Kenya, but also from other African countries. So that will be your beginning point.